Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today we are live with a very special guest, author Frankie Diane Mallis. Frankie is the best-selling author of The Drowned Empire romantic fantasy series. The books have hit #1 on Amazon numerous times and were a Barnes & Noble blog top 5 indie fave. The series currently includes Daughter of the Drowned Empire, Guardian of the Drowned Empire, Lady of the Drowned Empire, and the upcoming Warrior of the Drowned Empire. She's also published the prequel and companion novels, Solstice of the Drowned Empire, Son of the Drowned Empire, and the upcoming Bastard and Lord of the Drowned Empire, completing Ryan's point of view. She lives outside of Philadelphia, where she was an award-winning university professor. Frankie is also one of the co-hosts of Bothered and Bewildered, a Buffyverse podcast. When not writing or teaching, she practices yoga and has her 200-hour yoga certification and belly dances. She was a pro dancer for over a decade, and she can usually be found baking gluten-free desserts. Welcome to the podcast, Frankie.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're excited to talk to you. Oh, man. I did want to ask, because we were talking about this before I started recording, what did you teach as a university professor?
Okay, so the very complicated answer is that I was technically in the English department, but the university really emphasized interdisciplinary courses, really like combining different elements together. And my background, my master's is actually in English, but my undergrad is in religious studies, and I'm really focused on classics, mythology, symbolism. So that's really where I'm an expert. So I was teaching courses on how to write fantasy, but they'd be like in the religion department, or I would do seminars on like the symbolism and alchemy behind Harry Potter. I taught a course on Buffy and, you know, the psychological impacts of that show as well, and how it really related to feminism in different ways than we were initially led to believe it was. So a lot of really kind of cool, like basically anything I was excited about or interested in, or anything I wished had been a class when I was in college, I made into a class. So.
Oh, that's pretty
awesome.
Cool. Yeah. That's cool to be able to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I will also admit on the air that I have never watched Buffy.
We're going to
We're going
to work on her. We're going to work on her.
Like email me, because I want some reaction.
I will.
So tell us, Frankie, a little bit about the moment that you knew you wanted to be an author. How did you follow your dream, and how did you come into this as your profession?
So this is like going to be a really long, complicated thing, but
it's all good.
That's what we like.
Okay, good. Yes. The really simple answer is, honestly, I knew I wanted to be an author since I was a kid. Like, I knew that like from the get-go. Like, I'm pretty sure in my like 4th grade yearbook, like I have like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I was like, author. And I was the kid who like would, so we used to get these like little yellow notebooks in like 1st grade. And then if you filled out your yellow notebook, you got this fancy like white notebook that was like thicker paper, like it was like nice. And you would take your like 8 best stories or whatever from your yellow and put it into the white. And it was like this book. And I was like, give me every white book. I was like, I wrote so much. I was writing these like really long, like I had a 30-page like epic fantasy I wrote when I was in 4th grade. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just doing this the whole time. Like, this was just like, I was like super into. And then I think at some point along the way, like, even though I was always interested in writing and storytelling and reading and everything, everything that could possibly go under like I want to be an author's wheelhouse, I feel like at some point somebody got into my head that like authors don't make any money at all. And it's like a completely unrealistic thing to want to be. And so I think I kind of, at some point, like I remember in high school, it wasn't like something I was really thinking like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I thought I was going to go into international relations, or I don't even know. Like at one point I thought I wanted to be a rabbi, and I'm not even that religious. And I never
That would be a big commitment.
Yeah. I'll be honest. When I thought I wanted to be a rabbi, in my head, I was like, rabbi would be great because you just have to work Friday night and Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then you can write the rest of the time. And then I was like, that is not how this works.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but I was really still pursuing like adjacent like passions, like really looking at like, symbolism and storytelling patterns and stuff like that. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. But yeah, so it's basically the 17-point stage journey that like hypothetically, let's say every single story ever follows. And once you kind of see the pattern, you kind of can't unsee it. And I thought I was inventing this pattern. Like I was like, I have discovered the secret of storytelling. I'm going to be famous for this. And then I read his book and I was like, oh shit, he beat me by like 50 years. Am I allowed to curse?
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Wait. So yeah. And then I somewhere like, I think my junior year of college, I was like, no, I want to be the writer of the stories. I want to take all this stuff that I've learned. I want to write. And so once I like had that, like, idea in my head again, I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. And then it was like nonstop after that. So every decision I made ever going forward was like, will this bring me closer to being an author or no? So, I was originally going to go to grad school in New York City, and it was for like, it's really embarrassing right now, but like I got into Columbia for Jewish studies because that's what I was like in my Rabbi Delulu phase. Like, by that point, I was like, that's not what I'm going to do. So I can go. And I was like, also, like, why would I go do another program when I could be writing my book? And so, so I didn't do that. Then when I did get a master's, it was in English. And to get where I am now, I originally had planned to go the traditional route. And so I did sign with a literary agent like years ago, like long time ago. And she was great. But ultimately never sold anything. And so we parted, like a little bit before the pandemic. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to get another agent. And it turned out not to be as easy as it was the first time. And so I was like rewriting my story and getting it to, what Daughter of the Drowned Empire is. And I kind of was like, I'm tired of waiting. I've really been waiting for someone to give me like permission to say like, you're cool to do this, like for a really long time. And I was like, I don't feel like I need permission anymore. And I was like, I get how this works. I see what other indie authors are doing. I see how there's like avenues now that weren't necessarily there years ago. And so I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this. And I did all the research and then I just jumped in and now we're here. So
I love that.
I do too. I love that you decided like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make all my decisions based on that. That's like, anybody can take that advice and use it. I think most people should.
I also love that you're like, this is really embarrassing. I used to want to be a rabbi. Like that's at least a realistic career, right? Like my like embarrassing what I used to want to be was like Britney Spears. You know what I mean? Like that was never going to happen. So yours is at least a realistic thing.
It's true. Like I could have been, but thank God I'm not.
Right. You would have been really disappointed at the workload.
I know. Like who would have, someone like finally told me like, yeah, it is. And I was like, oh wait. No.
You're like, wait, I don't get 5 days off a week.
Don't you just have to do Shabbat in like a couple of
right. What? That would be great.
I love it. Well, I've started the Drowned Empire series. I will fully admit I have not made it all the way through yet because other stuff keeps getting thrown in my lap. So, but I'm super excited to finish this series. So can you tell us a little bit more or tell our listeners a little bit more about the Drowned Empire series?
Yeah. It's basically Cleopatra meets Fourth Wing, or Throne of Glass. So, that's what I used to pitch it as Cleopatra meets Throne of Glass. And then after Fourth Wing came out, everybody was like, this is so like Fourth Wing. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, it actually like really, really strange similarities, which, and I'm not somebody who's ever in that conversation about like, oh, like all fantasies are the same. Like, like I don't really get that kind of feedback, but I feel like if you took my book and then you looked at Fourth Wing and you saw some of the really weird like parallels, I just feel like that should be like proof for people who have that mindset that like, no, sometimes there's just these ideas that kind of get into the collective unconscious and they get shared somehow. And like, I like would bet everything that Rebecca Yarros did not, I'm not sure if I'm saying her last name right, but like, I don't think she read my book. You know what I mean? So like, anyway, yeah. So kind of that vibe. Like I've got like the warrior college. The main character has an older sister named Mira, like crazy similarity. Forbidden romance. She has to work with the trainer. She thought she was going to like be doing something a little bit more academic and safe and sitting down with her time. Turns out she has to like learn how to fight to the death, essentially. So yeah, but also with a lot of political intrigue. The world building is based off of ancient Egypt and Rome, specifically under the Roman Republic, which is pre the Roman Empire that every man is allegedly thinking about right now. This is before that. It's about I guess 39 years to 0 years before all that went down. It started after her death anyway. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question or not. But
no, it totally does. One thing that I really loved about the Drowned Empire when I read it was this idea of forbidden magic. And it's something that I hadn't really read a whole lot of before. So what excited you about writing a story with that element of having to hide who you are?
I think it's actually honestly making me think of like Buffy. Like I feel like I grew up with a lot of like these heroes who, like they had to keep their identity a secret on some level. Or, like I feel like a lot of superheroes like have that element. And so this wasn't so much a like I have to keep who I am a secret or they can't know like what I can do, but it's just that idea of like there's something different about me that's illegal. And I think that really just goes into the way that all of us at some point feel like there's probably, something really deeply wrong with me and I have to hide that from everybody or like there will be serious consequences. And so I just sort of built that into like a magic system. So
it is so relevant too, because thinking about what's going on in our world about, things, that you're born with, like your race or your gender or whatever that you can't do anything about. And the politics of it all is kind of making you not like think that that's not okay. It's so relevant, so relevant politically. Okay, so your female main character has a forbidden romance also with the main male character. Is that one of your favorite tropes to write?
Oh yeah.
Or do you have other tropes what other tropes do you love to include in your writing?
I mean, forbidden romance is definitely like my number one, like top, like I'm pretty sure every book I write ever will have like forbidden romance in it. Like I have some other, like my plans for where I'm going next or where I'm going sideways, like sort of relating to the series. It's always forbidden romance. I don't know. That's just like my favorite trope. Other ones that I really like to include, I don't know is this really necessarily a trope, but like slow burn.
Yeah, that's a trope.
Yeah, which I feel like kind of goes hand in hand with forbidden, because when it's forbidden, it's like you're constantly like pushing against, and so I just like the idea that like you want to be with this person like so bad that like you're willing to like break rules and you're gonna pine for a really long time, and there's just like a lot of angst, and it's just I don't know, I just think it makes it like really fun. There's like so much you can play with, and there's so much emotions you can kind of like toy with, and there's just like ugh. So
did you read any books growing up that had like that forbidden romance trope that kind of like turned you on to that? Like anyone in particular, I guess? Or maybe it was Buffy. I do know there's some forbidden romance in Buffy.
There is. Honestly, you could probably track everything back to Buffy. There's I mean, even like Cleopatra is kind of like a forbidden romance because like she's not really supposed to be like in bed with Rome because, like Egypt doesn't want to give up power, and Rome is like, we hate you, basically. So there is like that historically. But oh my God, I like just had it in my head and it just like flew out this is what it was. This might be such a basic answer, but Romeo and Juliet, like,
wow.
I mean, I was like obsessed. I mean, I recognize now as an adult with my frontal lobe fully developed that like this is like
Kind of a messed up story.
Maybe don't die. Maybe it's not worth
Right.
But as like a teenager, when you're like watching the movies and you're reading it in class, like I mean it leaves an impression. So that's probably like a really big one too. So
yeah, it's hard not to love Leonardo DiCaprio in that Baz Luhrmann version of Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can legit recite that entire movie line for line. And
it was so great.
But I can.
Well, Frankie, we're going to move into our speed rounds. So basically, it's called the Nerdy and Dirty Speed Round, and I'm going to give you some prompts, and then you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind as an answer to it. Okay. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's the last movie that you watched?
Probably Hocus Pocus.
Oh, it's the season for that, isn't it?
It's fall.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and I have to watch it every fall, like as many times as I can. So
if you could be any fictional character, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know I would want to land in a rom-com.
Okay.
I would like a happy ending. And
yes.
not like death threats, thrown at me.
Whitney can't stand it if there's not a happy ending.
Yeah, I need a happily ever after.
Yes. What book series do you always recommend?
Daughter of Smoke and Bone.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
Oh my god,
I don't know that one either.
Lainey Taylor. I literally have it it's like this blue one right here. It's
nice.
Gorgeous. It's like the most gorgeous writing. Like it's so good. Like
all right, going on my TBR.
Recommend.
What kind of music does your main character listen to?
Lear would listen to anything you could dance to. Anything that has also like a really good drum beat, because she's in the world, instead of belly dancing, they have water dancing. And it's very fluid and very like based on like moving your hips, and so anything with like a really good beat, she's gonna be like down with. Like it doesn't really matter other than that.
What do you think Ryan would listen to?
Really angsty music.
I totally agree.
Like Linkin Park.
Yes, I totally agree. That's awesome. All right. Plays or musicals?
Ooh, I think musicals, but I really like both.
Yeah,
I love musicals.
I have no singing ability, so like I wasn't like ever like a theater kid. So I feel like I usually gravitated more towards plays, but like I'm like really entertained by musicals. Like I can't sing for shit, but like sing to me, that's great.
But when they sing to you, it's good.
Yeah, sing to me.
Name a food that you refuse to eat.
Meat.
Oh, are you vegetarian? Oh. Hey, that works. What paranormal power would you want to have?
Teleporting.
That's like, a good one.
I hate having to get anywhere, and I like driving, but I get very stressed out on basically all forms of transportation, and I am terrible at like leaving on time or knowing how long it's actually going to take me to get somewhere. So if I could teleport, I would literally go everywhere. Like
I needed that when we were at Imaginarium in May.
Yes.
The traffic was so horrible. I'm pretty sure Mindy and Deb will never let me drive on a trip together again.
That's not true. Neither of us wanted to drive on that either.
Oh my god,
bad.
Driving was definitely stressful. Like
yeah.
Oof. But could you imagine like, you pick up all the boxes of books you have to bring up to Imaginarium, and then you're like, boom, here I am, drop them on the table, move on.
Yeah, that would be great.
What is your favorite weekend activity?
Like just vegging out, which honestly I kind of can do whenever because I'm my own boss now. So weekends are kind of like not real to me anymore, which can be a bad thing because sometimes I work through them. I probably do that more often than not, but like, yeah, like kind of whenever I'm ready to just like kind of veg out and like put some Gilmore Girls on, whatever. Like, yeah.
Nice. What is your favorite holiday?
Halloween.
I was gonna say, I bet it's Halloween.
Definitely Halloween. I love Halloween. When I was a kid, I literally thought that November 1st was the saddest day of the entire year. I was like, I don't even know how people wake up on November 1st and want to live.
It's over.
It is kind of a letdown. I mean, you've got all the candy and everything, but then it's like, you know.
And then the decorations go down. You don't get to dress up again. Like, I mean, no, I really like, I remember like watching like movies where it'd be like Halloween themed and then be like November 1st, like the next day. And I'd be like, this is so sad. I don't think I can watch it anymore. Like,
there's not a lot of turkey and Thanksgiving movies out.
Oh, and you know, I don't eat turkey, so it's not that.
Yeah, they wouldn't be good anyways. What was your favorite book as a child?
Little Princess.
Oh,
that's a good one
too.
Like, I love that book so much. That was like the first like really like big book. I mean, it's actually really tiny, but like, you know, but like when you're in elementary school, it was like the first like big book that I like got out of the library and I like read by myself. And it was like
such your first chapter book with no pictures.
Yeah. It was like my first like big kid book. And like I loved it. It was great. And the movie's great too. Like
I know.
Little Princess is like actually amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
Good stuff. What are you currently reading or the last book that you finished and loved?
Okay, I'm trying to remember what this is called. I'm kind of like in between writing right now. And so whenever I'm in between, I like to just like chug fantasy because I don't really like read fantasy if I'm writing. So I'm currently on, I don't know, they're called like the Lachlan Feuds. It's like a whole series. Like it's like 5 books. And I think the first one is called Scarlet Princess, but I bought them as like a bundle. So they might be called Rowan because the main character's name is Rowan, but if people have read it, they'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm like on the end of book 2 for that one.
And then finally, what is your guilty pleasure?
Love is Blind.
Oh my gosh. I love Love is Blind.
My daughter watches that.
Came out.
I didn't even know that the new ones came out until this morning. So we haven't started watching it yet.
Oh my God. This season is messy. God,
is it already? Oh, I can't wait. Like, okay. Now I'm excited.
There's 4 episodes out so far. And like the 4th one, you're just like, oh my God. Like,
oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, the last couple of seasons have been pretty messy. They've
honestly all been messy. And like, I watch it from a very like kind of neutral perspective because I realize like these people are honestly, they're all being underpaid. They're working like when they're filming their show. You forget like they're working and they don't give them like a place to sleep. So they all are like in a trailer. So when you're watching them like sleeping on the couches and like wandering around with their blankets all day because they don't have like a real room to go to bed in. Like it's crazy. Yeah. So I do kind of watch it in a weird like, okay, like they're probably really emotional right now because they probably haven't slept in 3 days. But like, you know, but I still watch.
Yeah, I'm going to be right there with you. So now we're going to move into what we call 3 tough questions. And these are more focused on your writing or writing rituals. So the first one is, what is a scene that you edited out, but really wish that you could have kept it in?
I don't think I have one of those. There's a lot of things that maybe got edited out, but like they got repurposed. You know, or like used later. Like I did originally, or some people know this, but the first book is Daughter, the second is Guardian. They used to be one book.
Okay.
Yeah, like it started as one book. And actually the place where Lady, which is book 3, ends, used to be where the first book ended. So I you know, at the time it was like a slightly different genre. Like right now it is, you know, high fantasy, romantasy, but it originally was written when I had my old agent, like as a young adult contemporary fantasy, which people were like, what? When they
that's a big difference.
That took a turn.
I know, like all the world building that you see in the books and the lore and the mythology and the history, like it existed, but it was almost like I just took the characters and I like pushed them into the future. Like this all was there, but it was just like in their history book. So it didn't get referenced as much, you know, it was like more in the background. So Yeah, so it really kind of like, as I went into like the real genre I was meant to be in and that needed to be in for the story to be what it was always supposed to be, things kind of got expanded and like extended, and so the books became multiple. And there were some things that I thought like there was like, I don't want to give too much away, but like I had a spicy moment planned in book 2. And then when I got there, I was like, this actually doesn't make any sense. Like emotionally for where they are right now, like this would not happen. So like I had written like the whole thing out, like, like the dialogue and like, and I was like, this is so good, but this does not go here. And I put it into book 3 and I'm like, yep, that's where that goes. So yeah, I don't think there's anything really that like I cut out that like doesn't at some point come back, where it's supposed to be. So
I love that though. There's not anything left on the cutting room floor, so to speak. Yeah, I really love that. So the next tough question is, what is a super specific detail that you know about one of your characters that doesn't really affect the plot at all, but it just makes you love them?
I love them all so much for everything. I'm really trying to think about this one because I feel like I write them all really super specifically. And I feel like I put all of that into their character. And like, and though it is like a plot driven story, I feel like who they are as characters like really influences the plot. So it really does kind of go back and forth. But I also have thought about my characters a lot, like if they were like around now. And so I know some like really odd things that you couldn't know from the books because like it wouldn't exist in this world. So like
Right.
Ryan, if he was here now and he was a dad, 1000% would be the soccer coach. Like
Nice.
he would eat it up being the coach, like for like the little soccer team. Like he would love that. So
That's
like
cute.
I just
That's a great one.
Random details about like what if they were here now? Like, yeah, so
I love that. That tells you a lot about that character's personality when
Yeah.
you say they would be a kid soccer, like what kind of personality that is, I feel like. So the last tough question, and this can be one of your characters or any character from any book. What book character would you want to meet in real life, and how would you spend your time with them?
Ooh. So
It's a tough one, right?
I know. And like I could have thought about this too. Okay, so in my books, there's this character called Mercurial, who a lot of people like love this guy, but also he can get kind of annoying because he sometimes like interrupts things. And is like definitely like a trickster type character, but he like knows everything. And I feel like the only person who might know more than I do about the story is him. So it would be kind of nice if I could like sit down with him and he could just break a few things down for me and to clarify, like, okay, like this is what we're gonna do.
I love that.
That would be fun. Can I join you?
Yeah.
I love Mercury.
Spoilers, I know.
So now I'm going to ask you 4 random questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what is your favorite way to relieve stress after a long day?
Going into a hot tub.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You have a hot tub at your house?
No.
I just like to pretend.
No, but there is one at the gym. So like I've been known to go to the gym and not work out and just go into the hot tub. Like,
I mean, you do what you got to do.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Your membership,
Yeah.
honestly, so.
It's part of your membership. No worries there.
Yeah. But yeah, I love being in heated. I don't like heat, like generalized heat. Like I don't really like summer. I like concentrated heat. So I love hot tubs. Like the heat has to be in like a specific place. You have to be able to get away from the heat, and then I like it. So
yeah, the escape is an important piece there. Yeah. So next, what scene from a book inspires you on a daily basis?
Ooh. I feel like I come back a lot to Outlander. I want to say like just the kind of scale, that she really created. Like there's just so much going on. Like everything feels so epic and like larger than life, you know, like the way Jamie and Claire love each other and like the struggles that they go through to like be together and support each other. But at the same time, like it's always so grounded, like as like grand as the like romance is, and like, you know, a little unrealistic, like there's still like that like gritty like texture to it that like, oh, it just makes it feel so real. So I think that's something like I think about a lot, like where I always like, obviously I'm writing romantic fantasy, so like everything is like over the top, right? And like, you know, like just like, oh, like, but at the same time, like I want it to feel grounded and real, you know? And so, yeah, like that's probably.
I love that answer. Yeah. That's a really, really great series that has really stood the test of time over the last 30 plus years, right? Since the first book came out. So
yeah, I always forget like how long that series has been around for. I only discovered it like maybe a couple years, I think, before the first season came out. So
yeah.
I was like jumping on like right before, like
yeah. Deb and Mindy introduced me to Outlander during COVID, so I was like really late to the game. Thank you, Deb and Mindy. So the next random question is: Have you ever seen a ghost or had any kind of paranormal experience?
Okay, so paranormal adjacent.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the thing: I have never seen a ghost. I'm pretty sure ghosts will not show themselves to me. I'm like convinced of this at this point. Like they will not reveal themselves to me because the university I worked at is like very, very haunted. And it's like the students know this. The students, I'm always like, guys, if you have any ghost stories, like come and like tell me like what happened with the ghosts and you. Like I want to know. And they would like come and tell me all these stories. And they even do every fall, they have these guided tours of the campus where they tell you all of the stories of like the hauntings and, you know, all this crazy stuff that goes on. And it's like, it's crazy. And they're always adding to it and changing it because the students are like coming out and just being like that. So there's this one story where okay, so like I'll tell you the ghost story, but basically it was like the campus has a castle in it, and it used to be owned by this like really wealthy couple, you know, like very like what was that show like with Maggie Smith in it?
Oh, Downton Abbey.
Yeah, like it has that feel, but like outside of Philadelphia. And so when it's like a castle that's a little bit, you know, based on, I think, Versailles, I want to say. Anyway, so like their daughter had her friend like staying with her, like summering right with them. And
as you do, yeah,
as you do. And, she was summering with them and she died unexpectedly. She fell off the stairs and she had a scarf on, and it's a whole thing. And so actually there's a story that if you're rushing down the stairs, you feel this like hand pressing on you to like slow you down. She's trying to like keep you from like falling too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but anyway, they were like, oh my gosh, this girl is dead. That is a scandal. We can't tell anybody this happened. So they just like don't say anything. So then her mom is like, wow, I haven't gotten any letters from my daughter while she's summering at the castle. Like, where is she?
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Comes to be like, excuse me, but where is my daughter? And the butler is like, oh, I know, she's like out, you know, with the horses, like riding horses. I will take you there. And like this, like equestrian area is like now like the tennis courts. So they like walk there. And then he's like, because of the scandal, and you can't have a scandal, he like out of nowhere, like just like whips out like a bat or something. I'm not sure if a bat is like historically accurate, but this is what I'm going to go with, and like kills her. And so
oh my gosh.
And there's so many, and her daughter's name was Amy. So we just like refer to her as Amy's mom. And so, so like, there's so many stories of like Amy's mom, like showing up and like, you know, doing all this stuff. So I went on one of those like ghost tours one year, and me and my friend, we were like, we should go find Amy's mom. And so we go in the dark, like by ourselves up to, you know,
no way,
up the stairs into the tennis courts. And we're like, Amy's mom, Nothing. Every person in school has had some kind of paranormal experience but me. So that's why I'm convinced the ghosts will not show themselves to me. So
there's something about your aura that they're like, no.
Yes.
No, I mean, and I believe it too, because I remember once I was like watching my nephew when he was like a baby, and he was like looking at something and he was kind of getting upset, and there was like nothing there. And I was like, okay, he's probably seeing something, right? That I can't see because I'm like a grown up, and also ghosts won't show themselves to me. And so, and I was like, like whatever, but he's getting upset about it. So I just like look in the direction he's like looking in, and I'm just like, I don't know if you're a relative or whatever, but get the hell out of here because you're upsetting him.
See, I would have been like, we're just going to leave the room now.
No, I literally was just like, get the fuck out. Like, you don't I don't care if you're like our ancestor. You're upsetting my nephew. Get out. And then he was fine. So I think I sent the ghost away. So
I think you did. I think that's canon now. That happened.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So the last random question is, do you have a zombie apocalypse plan? And if so, what is it?
Die.
That's ours too.
That's ours too. We're not putting up with that shit.
No thanks.
I would run. I would probably like get in my car and just be like, okay, everybody who I can get in the car with me, like, let's go. We're going to Canada. I don't know why Canada seems safe. And
it does seem safe.
Right? Like zombies would be like, oh no, we can't. No, not Canada.
Not Canada. It's too nice up there.
No, can't. We're gonna eat the US, but Canada's okay. So yeah, I would just head to Canada. So
that's so funny. Yeah, I feel like that about Canada too. Like, I don't know why, but it just seems like the safe haven, right?
It seems like a safe place to go. So,
yeah. Well, before we wrap up, we wanted to ask, what other projects are you working on, or if you can talk about them yet? What are you writing next? What are you working on now?
So, the next book that I just actually started working on. So I'm about to squash all my fantasy reading and just head back to the world of rom-com and dark romance and smut. So is Bastard of the Drowned Empire. So this is another Rhyan point of view book, and it's basically retelling Daughter and Guardian from his point of view. So like, remember when they did one book? It's gonna be one book now, but like from Ryan's perspective. So yeah, I also have to write Lord, which would be Lady from Ryan's point of view. But I know what most people are waiting for me to say is Warrior, which is book 4 in the series. And I am, so those are kind of all like floating in my head almost like concurrently, because I'm not sure about like the release schedule, but like Warrior, I always said was going to come out in 2024. I have yet to break my word on anything I've said about anything I'm going to do. So I'm determined. So that might mean that I just like write, because I'm very linear in my writing. I might write Bastard Lord and like not edit them and get them ready to publish and just jump into Warrior. Like I'm not totally sure exactly how I'm going about this, but I know that that's what I'm doing next, like writing wise. So
that's a lot for your readers to look forward to.
Yeah.
So I know that we can find you on Instagram. Where can we find your books, and where is the best place that you would prefer readers to get your books?
Yeah. The books are actually everywhere. So they're on Amazon, Kobo. They're on Kobo Plus. So if anybody is a Kobo Plus reader, you can read the series for free there. So I don't do Kindle Unlimited, but I do Kobo Plus, and they're on Google Books, Apple. They're available for libraries to get and borrow. They're also audiobooks right now, exclusive to Audible and Apple. I do have signed books on my website, and I just re-released, or I'm in the process of re-releasing all of the hardcovers right now. They now have this insanely gorgeous art under the dust jacket. So those are currently up for pre-order on my website, but they're going to be available like regular, like wherever your books, are very soon. So, and I don't really care where or how people get my books. Just get them. Like just getting them makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever makes sense for you. And like, I know some people are specifically like, they like a physical copy. Some people, I'm one of them, are audiobook girlies, like we like want to listen to it first. So whatever makes you happy, get that version, get from that place, whatever.
Yeah, just get there.
just as long as you got them.
Yeah. So to finish up, we always end all of our episodes at our nerdiest thing, talking about our nerdiest thing of the week. And a lot of times it's book related. Sometimes it's not. It's just really something that we felt like we nerded out about and got really excited about. So we would love to hear what your nerdiest thing of the week is.
I feel like I've just started seeing a bunch of reports that the second season of House of the Dragon like finished like recording or filming.
Yeah.
And I feel like they dropped the name of the first episode. So yeah, like, that's where I'll be.
So you're House of the Dragon fan girl,
like yeah, like
hardcore.
Hardcore, like the way that show consumed my existence like last summer. Oh my gosh, like I'm a little scared for season 2 though, because I have very strong feelings about the directors and the show writers and like who did each episode, and like very different things happen depending on who was in charge of the show. And so I'm a little scared for season 2. I don't know if they're gonna get it right, but like very excited still. So
yeah. Well, that's super fun. That's another one that I've never watched.
Oh my gosh.
There's too many good, like nerdy shows and movies. And it's just, I can't keep up with all of it. You know, it's hard. But well, thank you so much for being on with us tonight. This has been really cool to get to talk to you. Yes. We got to talk very briefly at Imaginarium, but this has been nice to have a more extended conversation with you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your night.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.